Hi, church. Welcome to Connecting at Noon, brought to you each day by a member of our staff. I'm Jen Perez, and today I'd like to share with you something I've written about the challenges of living in these times with the coronavirus global pandemic. Here are my thoughts. When it all began, or at least when I began hearing enough about it to be concerned and pay attention, I started obsessively checking the global map maintained by Johns Hopkins University, which shows vividly the spread of coronavirus in active cases and number of deaths. It was a kind of terrible fascination, as every morning and every evening I would see the numbers climb in staggering succession, until it was no longer possible to see the borders and divisions between the nations on Earth. The red dots became a red sea, and the world was drowning in sickness and death. Even before the safety measures and school closures and restrictions were put in place in our state and became real in our communities and in our own neighborhoods, I spent a lot of time watching news coverage and feeling in my own body the enormity of what was spreading worldwide. And then I started learning about sick family members and family friends, and heard from my mom about those who have now died due to the ravages of COVID-19. Many lives have been forever altered by this tragic pandemic. There is real suffering and real devastation happening. There are people facing bankruptcy and financial ruin. There are businesses that will not be able to reopen. There are hospitals overrun with critically ill patients and families decimated by multiple deaths. This is a health crisis. This is an economic crisis. This is a global crisis. This is a personal crisis. For the Christian community, this is also the season of Easter, the season of hope, the season when we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. As the Bible tells us in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15, "O death, where is your victory? O death, where is your sting?" The passage goes on, "Thanks be to God, who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ." Usually I feel an exuberant joy at Easter time, but I am finding this season hard when I see my neighbor suffering so greatly. And I have neighbors all over the world who are impacted by this pandemic. I've been thinking a lot about a passage in the Bible, in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, that asserts, "There is an appointed time for everything, and there is a time for every event under heaven." The passage goes on to say, "A time to give birth, and a time to die. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to embrace, and a time to shun embracing." I keep thinking about that passage. I keep thinking about it because right now I don't feel so much joy. I feel heaviness. But even the heaviness will last only for a season. There will once again be time for embracing, for being together in community, and celebrating what God has done for us in bringing us through this pandemic. But as we work on getting there, I can't help but feel sadness for those most directly impacted by the effects of the virus and all of the consequences of shutting down our economy. All of this is enough to rob anyone of sleep as we wonder, where is God in the midst of this widespread suffering? There is no easy answer, but I see the kindness of neighbors helping each other. I see the bravery of our first responders and healthcare workers as they serve our communities. I see the resilience and creativity of people everywhere as they deal with these unprecedented circumstances. I experience the laughter shared between church choir members as we get used to meeting online. I see the huge number of volunteers at our drive-through monthly food distribution, and I am encouraged by members of our staff at our weekly check-in. I also find comfort in these words from the Psalms in chapter 121. I will lift up my eyes to the mountains. From whence shall my help come? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. He will not allow your foot to slip. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. Also from our Anglican compline comes this prayer. Guide us waking, O Lord, and guard us sleeping, that awake we may watch with Christ, and asleep we may rest in peace. Finally, from the novelist Victor Hugo comes this beautiful reminder. Have courage for the great sorrows of life, and patience for the small ones. And when you have laboriously accomplished your daily task, go to sleep in peace. God is awake. These are my thoughts as I continue to work through the challenges we face in this pandemic. Thank you for sharing a few minutes with me today, and I miss you all.